David, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
How is Derek?
Derek's great. He's in really good spirits. He finished the fight knowing he couldn't have done any more. He couldn't have thrown any more punches. He was exhausted in there to the bitter end. As he said, he's going to bring the heat, and that's exactly what he did.
To be fair, the first few rounds, the game plan was working.
Yeah,
perfectly.
everything was working. Everything was working nice. He was getting to Usyk. He was throwing those body shots. He was slowing him up. Now Usyk, Olympic champion, world champion for a reason. But Derek tested him. Derek pushed him, and I was sitting with Usyk's manager, was just behind me, and we all had it very, very close. And to think Derek Chisora, to be in there with a pound for pounder and competing with him, it didn't look as classy as Usyk, but the punches landed was significant, and it was just a great fight for the fans at a time where people needed to switch off from what's happening in the world, and that's last night gave them that, a couple of hours where they were really engrossed in a real battle, a real heavyweight battle.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Did you feel as the rounds went on, you thought it was slipping away maybe a little bit?
Yeah, the middle rounds for sure. The early rounds I had Derek comfortably winning. The middle from round sort of 5. From around 5, he got tagged a couple of times, real heavy. I really started worrying. But the one thing I remember sitting back thinking, I'm so glad that, I've seen some of Derek's previous fights, because his power of recovery is amazing. He's trained so hard, and he's been pushing himself every day. And when you think he's got nothing left, he sits down for a minute and he gets up and he keeps chugging along. He keeps going. And he pushed Usyk so hard. Usyk had to have been on fire last night. He had to have been as good as he could ever have been, and he rated his performance as a 3 last night. I'm not sure about today, because I'm sure it felt horrible, but the reason he rated himself as a 3 is because Derek forced him to fight a horrible type of fight. It was an ugly fight, but it was a fight that really brought the best out in both fighters, and I was very happy that the fight lived up to the billing.
It certainly justifies your faith in Derek
Yeah.
over the last few years. It can't go on forever, I know, but he looked great last night.
Yeah.
He punched brilliantly.
Yeah.
He did everything pretty much spot on
He
tactically.
did all he could do.
So yeah, I mean, where does he go, David? I mean, it's one of those with Derek. As I say, it doesn't go on forever. But
Yeah.
what's the plan?
Put it this way, 3 years ago, everybody within boxing said he should retire. 3 years ago, when he was in Monaco, he put in a performance so underwhelming that I remember thinking, Derek is completely and utterly washed up. He's got no more nights in him. He can't compete even at European level. So maybe he should go down to domestic level. I genuinely thought that. But seeing him competing there with one of the top fighters on the planet shows me that we're doing the right things. And this camp was the first time in my opinion, he was really, truly fight fit for 12 rounds. And it's just the beginning. He's ready to go. He called me this morning and said, when we can do it, I want to get back in there straight again. I know I can do better next time. I've figured out the training side of things, and I know I can do better next time. I'm like, you need to chill. Just take some time off. Put your feet up. Don't think about boxing for a while. You really gave everything. He's like, I know, but I want to get back in there. The fact he's getting so much love from the fans. Although the fans weren't in there with him last night cheering him on, he could feel it around the country. The amount of messages he got after the fight, you could feel the energy of the British public willing him to keep swinging, keep coming forward. It wasn't very cultured, some of the big swings, but once he gets tagged, he starts fighting on instinct. And I think his instincts are getting better. So I'm really fortunate that I've got a fighter who wants to fight. He doesn't care who he fights. He just wants to be in the biggest fights and give the fans the entertainment they want.
What do you reckon next then? Joseph Parker, Povetkin, Dillian Whyte 3?
Yeah.
There are options.
There's some amazing options out there. You said you just as 2 good names there. Joseph Parker was scheduled before the spider bite, and Dillian Whyte 3. Who would not want to see Dillian Whyte 3? Because I can tell you for a fact, I was in both training camps for the Dillian Whyte 2 and this one, and what Derek did in training was significantly improved on that fight. And if that fight was as close as it was, with Derek winning before he got done in the 11th round, I definitely think he'll raise his game. As Dylan's taken a heavy loss since then, but I'm sure he's going to be improved. That's an easy fight, but it's a fight that once again the fans are going to absolutely have a field day with.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you are the manager of Derek, but you are a cruiserweight/heavyweight expert, so it'd be wrong for me not to ask you about Oleksandr Usyk as well. He's obviously looking now to win the WBO World Heavyweight Championship. Does he give Anthony Joshua problems?
It depends whether Anthony Joshua has a boxing match with him or uses his physical size advantage. Anthony Joshua physically is so superior in terms of punch power and athleticism, and if AJ's able to implement that in a rough, tough fight, he could get Usyk out there pretty easy. But if he stands off and has an amateur-style, long-range boxing match, like he did against Ruiz in his last fight, it could be very tricky, because that's what Usyk thrives on. He thrives on long-range boxing. He's the best at long-range boxing. So it's an interesting fight, But I feel AJ would maybe need to implement the tactics that Tyson Fury did against Deontay Wilder, where he just used his size and just mowed over him. Once again, it'd be another very, very entertaining and exciting fight. But Usyk, at a couple of times, Derek seemed like he was out on his feet. And in a couple of the couple of rounds, he pushed himself the whole round. Didn't have much left, and he got tagged a couple of times, and he was rocking on his heels. And Usyk should have been able to put a few more big punches together. But it seemed like the early rounds that were so tough, he was exhausted as well, so he wasn't able to go into that second gear. But it was a very, very tough introduction to the heavyweight scene. And he passed the test. He was on his feet. He won the fight on points. Congratulations to him and his team. They put forth a great fight. Lots of people feel that Usyk won the fight easy. I'm reading some reviews, and I've seen some on the other side. Some people think it was closer, but the fans won here. That's what matters at a tough time in human existence. The fans was able to enjoy a great night of entertainment.
When the results did get read out, were you personally as a manager, I can take that, I can accept that result?
I understood that when it was the 115, 113, a 2-point margin, I could understand why someone would come to that scorecard. I could get that. You could make a comfortable argument for that, but anything more than that, you'd have to be really, really focusing on the slick style versus the punches landed on the target. Depends what you like. It depends what type of style you like. But the show was fantastic. The whole promotion from start to finish. We had a real short period to promote this fight, and the venue was great.
Derek's
Eddie Hearn. Yeah, Derek's entrance. It was amazing. The whole show was great. It was fantastic. Eddie, everyone at Matchroom, Sky Sports, the whole team, everyone at the SSE Arena, everyone's come together. The British Border Control was really everyone has gone over and above to make these fights happen with the legislation, the legal legislations for the COVID testing, and that somehow, I don't know how it all got put together, but fortunately it did, and everybody had a great night.
This Hearn and Haye promotion's working, David.
It worked really well last night. The whole build up from the weigh in to the paint. It was just like, it was fun and it was enjoyable, and there was no issues. All of the fights were entertaining. It was a great show.
Finally, talking about another heavyweight, Deontay Wilder came out with some really serious comments last night, accusing Tyson Fury of all sorts, his former trainer of all sorts. What have you made of those?
I know it was quite strange. It was a strange one. I didn't. It was. I don't know. I was taken back. I think I was like, I genuinely don't know what to think of it. I wanted to see him getting back in the ring. As though you can say what you want on a video, but Deontay Wilder is an amazing boxer. He had a bad fight in his last fight. All champions get beat up and knocked out from time to time. It's happened to me. It's happened to everybody. It happened to AJ the other day. It happened to Derek. It happens in boxing. Let's get back to what you do best in the ring, letting those big Wilder right hands go. And I just want him to get back in the ring. Whoever it's with, whether it's with Fury, whether it's with AJ, whoever, just get back in the ring. Let's start boxing again and let the boxing do the talking. And
finally, for Derek, is the message that in a few weeks, maybe in a month or so, might have some news for you. We'll sit down, we'll discuss it, and there's plenty more left in the tank for him.
There's plenty more left in it. He's raring to go. He was like, David, we've got to get back in as soon as possible. I'm like, relax. It was a tough fight. It was such a long camp. It was really difficult to get him to peak. That's a very difficult thing to train for a fight when you don't know when the date is. But unfortunately, Derek gave it everything, and he really deserves a lot of credit. And the fans, have been so nice to him. They've really got behind. If it wasn't for the fans, he wouldn't still be here. He knows that boxing is his love now. He loves training. He never used to love training. He didn't used to love it. Now he loves it. He can see the improvement. He would never have gone 12 rounds with Usyk a couple of years ago. It wouldn't have been the case. He would have run out of steam and got caught with those sharp punches, sharp, crisp punches from Usyk. But he was in the fight. He mixed it up, and I'm really, really proud of him.